What are some ideas and whatnot you would want to see in major games?
I'm so sorry.
We are on the air, sir.
I'm so sorry.
Jesus.
I have fat hands. I can't do that.
That was a good clap.
We can't all have fat hands. Hello and welcome to Strange Conversations, where every week we gather together to give you our topics for the week as well as the news of the week. So over on my far left will be
Dylan Sinat.
On my other left is
Mark Clover.
And on my right,
John Pettit.
Handsome John, as we like to call him. There's all sorts of noise out there, but Dylan, you are here to bring us
The important.
Thank you.
Ding ding.
Yeah, so one of the first things we want to talk about today is something that Brent actually brought up a little bit earlier in the week, but then I wanted to steal the thunder because Halo is getting a TV show
Yes.
on HBO. If I
No.
keep this rhyming.
Showtime.
Showtime. Yeah.
Still paid. No, Showtime's not paid.
Yeah, it is.
It is paid.
Mhm.
It is paid. Okay. What are you excited? Sad?
Well, don't worry. I'll
Did you
talk
read
about
the
this
books?
later. Oh, yes, I did. And I can't wait. And I just want to point this out. Like, for that storyline, I really hope they go to Onyx. That would be awesome.
No, they should. It's
Well,
named
here's the
Halo.
thing.
They should be on the ring.
No, no. Here's the thing. They are on a ring technically when they're Onyx is a shield world technically, so they're still a part of that whole little world. But the Spartan 2 program is what's run, or one of the Spartans. I'm not going to give away too much spoilers. 'Cause I don't want to spoil it. But one of the Spartans is running the Spartan 3 program, the SP3 armor. That would be cool. We saw all of those kids in that first video that we saw.
Yeah.
That would make sense if they were actually training to be the SP3 armor, which is basically the cheaper armor, younger cadets that are made for suicide mission kind of stuff. That would be cool.
It's a weird space to play because Netflix had this series. Netflix had that series that was trying to be like the cadets in training, trying to join the forces, and that's what I would have wanted out of a show. But that kind of fell flat. Like
Well,
I
they were
think,
talking about O&I, which is like their CIA. Essentially.
yeah, I want something that's not connected to Master Chief that leads into it. Like season 2, we meet the Chief and we go on a big adventure, whatever that may be. I just don't know if that works because apparently they've tried it a couple times.
That's why they think a lot of people are going to try to ground it and go with ODST.
Yeah, ODST would be cool.
What you do is you don't mention Chief at all, and then like season 6, you just be like, "That's him."
You lost everybody at season 1.
No, hint at him all the way through the first 5 seasons of like, hey look, there's like you'll do Easter eggs of like you'll just see this guy like come out of an explosion.
How are they
and
going to do
shoot in his
Cortana?
suit,
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
across
So
space.
the end one is going to be sponsored by Microsoft. We know this.
Yeah.
The end of the first season should just be them creating the AI. And like, we're going to call it Cortana, and that's the clip.
That would be really cool.
Well,
All right.
that would be really
What if
cool,
it
yeah.
is a lead up into Infinite?
Yeah, that would
I
be
mean,
cool
they're
too.
giving the backstory to Infinite.
See, what I thought was super weird about this is just the fact that there's already a really big Halo series. You know that Red versus Blue thing?
I heard something about that guy's named Church stuff like that.
Something weird.
I don't think they have to worry too
Caboose?
much about that
Yeah.
cross-contaminating. I really personally want Nathan Fillion to just get shredded and be in the show.
He's my man. I love some Nathan.
So the next bit of news that we had is actually going to be crazy news. If you're watching this is Wednesday, so 4 or 5 days from now. This coming Sunday after the 4th, Travis Pastrana, who's like a crazy motorcycle racing freak of nature who does everything, will be trying Evel Knievel stunts. He'll be trying to jump the Caesar Garden, which has never been done. It's the one that Knievel like destroyed his life animal and Coleman stuff from.
Oh, good.
Oh, that sounds like a
trying
great
to do
idea.
like one of that's considered to be like the hardest stunt. And he's doing this all in I think like an Indian motorcycle V-twin, just like Knievel did it.
I was about to say, I was
He's
like, are you
jumping.
going to be able to compare it with newer equipment?
So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be more torquey. I didn't exactly look into it, but the bike will probably be a little more powerful. Supposedly the same CC and same company. He's jumping I think 14 buses, and then the Caesar thing is the end. He's doing this in a 3-hour live stream event on the History Channel. So check that out Sunday night. I don't know what time it starts, but Sunday night the article will be linked down in the description.
You can check that out after you've completed your Pokemon Go community day on Sunday, because that's what's really important. Sunday, the 8th.
No, I'm pretty sure
They're
Cable's more
releasing Squirtle. And not only that,
You can get
Squirtle with sunglasses. Squirtle Squad confirmed.
Didn't you call that?
No, but I wish I did.
I could have swore we talked about
I'll take
this and I thought
credit.
it was gonna be
Yes,
Squirtle.
I called that. That was me.
Nobody
He
cares.
didn't. He said
Watch
that,
history.
obviously.
Travis Pastrana may die or may become a legend of. He's already a legend, but more
Yeah.
legend.
Well, he'll be a. That's not right.
Let's just continue, shall we?
Okay.
Yep.
So the next thing that we had, speaking of
Yeah,
Pokemon, is the mobile game that should have been a mobile game to begin with, but they made this weird blunder. They actually released Pokemon Quest on the Switch first. I don't know why they did that. But it's a mobile game, and it's meant for mobile, and it's auto mobile.
They better test it out on the Switch first.
Yeah,
Make sure it ran well.
Right. I've actually been playing that a good bit. It's very interesting. It's very different. I showed Brent beforehand. It's pretty cool. It's a good way to waste time.
It looks like a Pokemon game.
Yeah, except for it's Pokemon mixed with Arc Cube World.
Yes.
Or Pixar.
Pixar, there you go.
It's all like square, cubular little things.
Yeah.
They're adorable.
I don't have time for mobile games.
The cool thing is when they come out and you like get a new one, you have to lure them with food, which is kind of weird. But you
Makes
lure them
sense.
out of the woods. They come to this food pot and eat. But they're like a shadowy figure, and because they're like these weird little cubes, it doesn't matter how well you know Pokemon, you're just guessing. Like, the little execute eggs.
Yeah.
They're called execute, right?
Yeah.
Those guys came out, and I was like, I got that one. Now there's a giant square floating. That's a Gassy. Did not see that coming. Wow.
So you're pretty much a raccoon catcher going around trying to lure animals out.
Pretty much. And then you go, like, you're basically stuck on this island. You go around this island and you go on these little quests. You don't move the Pokemon. The 3 Pokemon just kind of roam. And then you have the ability so you can be like, oh, I want Charmander to do a little fire circle thing. Or I want him to scratch something.
It's a free-to-play game. You can find it on Android and iOS devices, as well as your Nintendo Switch.
Not the Switch. Don't do
Or-
that. Don't do that shit.
It's a free-to-start game, as Nintendo likes to call them. Such dumb language.
Free start is really dumb. But speaking of free, PlayStation Plus released their July free.
Yeah, you would think I would have this up already.
You
PlayStation Plus is going to include heavy...
don't even need it because it's Heavy Rain and Absolver.
I know, but there's
That's
other
just
things
PS4.
too.
There's PS3.
I
There's
care
Vita.
entirely.
Nobody
But yeah,
cares.
Absolver looks really cool. Actually,
Yeah.
Absolver
I
is
see.
one that I thought I was going to dive into when it released last
Yep.
year on PlayStation, last August, but I totally did not.
What's worse is I totally forgot about it. I sent it to my roommate because he likes fighter games, and I was like, "Hey, this game looks like it has crazy weird combat you might like." And then I saw it's free on PlayStation. I was like, "Oh wow, that game's been out." Did not know. All right.
Heavy Rain's a big boom. Unfortunately,
It's squandered.
it's squandered. They had a whole pre-order bonus if you bought the digital version of Detroit. You get a free digital copy of Heavy Rain.
Let me tell you guys, eat a dick.
Yeah, there are certain people
I was
who are
going to
at
censor
this
myself. I was
table
like, no, no.
who
You
are
deserve the dick.
super not happy. On top of that, they have Rayman 3 HD and then Deception 4, The Nightmare Princess. Deception's a weird franchise where you play as, in this case, a princess. I think you normally play as a princess who runs a castle and you set up traps for people to come fall into. I don't know.
Home Alone for Princess.
Yes.
Yeah.
They also have Space Overlords, which I've never heard of for PlayStation Vita, and then Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma. One of the best Vita games you can buy. If you have not played any of them, you can buy Notary Games, relatively cheap. First 2 games in there, and then play Zero Escape.
100% worth it.
Still buying games on the Vita. Download that. Pokemon
Welcome yourself
game.
to Vita Island.
Yes.
You can contact us however much you want. We'll let you know exactly how
It will
many games
increase
you
the
need.
population from 2 to however many of you and your friends there are.
There's 3.
There's 3.
Greg Miller still plays this too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
There's enough.
So actually, last week we spoke about something a little bit, and that was the future of gaming, and we mentioned Google quite heavily, which is ironic
Because
Yeah.
they had rumored their platform before, but it now seems that it's like a legit rumor.
Yeah, Jason Schreier from Kotaku has an excellent article. I highly suggest going reading it because it's a very in-depth article where he has not only heard rumblings recently, but Google has been apparently playing hardball with a lot of various developers trying to get them on board. At GDC this year, they went and talked with a lot of the third-party publishers as well as trying to recruit. They're vigorously, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Trying to recruit people to join them. Are you pointing at me because you stopped recording?
No,
Okay.
it's not detected, which is very odd.
It's not what?
Okay,
It's
well,
not detecting the video device.
we
That's
may
fantastic.
have technical issues. If that's the case, I want a GIF of Dylan just doing a happy dance over in the video for the entirety in which we're not connected.
That's alarming.
The interesting thing, though, is that they are actually trying so hard.
So what's weird about it is that the rumor is that they want to compete with Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo.
Yeah, why?
That is insane. I think that's super smart because
Right now?
well, right now would be the best time because we're on the tail end of platform for 2 of the 3. Nintendo is hard to compete with unless you would be something like Google, where they're talking about having a streaming service that you would literally play in a Chrome tab, where you could play a game on your phone, on your computer.
Yes.
And so if that's the case, and you just have a profile you carry around with you, that competes with Switch fairly well.
Yeah.
So I think this is smarter than the alternative, which is this is a micro console that's $100 that competes with Apple TV. Like, those are fun, but they obviously didn't light the world on fire. Everyone released these things, and Apple even said, we're focusing on gaming on this, and it just went nowhere. Yeah. So we'll see.
I'll be interested to see who they contact.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, I mean, it's going to be an interesting start for sure.
Yep.
And hopefully they take over the world.
I mean, they've got enough money to throw at people to entice them to pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then the last thing that Brent brought up was, I'm not going to pronounce her name because it's going to be wrong, but Amy's insert name here, Hennig.
Yeah. Now, Amy Hennig has officially left EA. She was not allowed. It was a very weird circumstance because she was part of the Visceral team that was making the Star Wars. I can't remember what it was, Project Underdog or something like that. Once Visceral closed, she technically stayed at EA up until January of this year, and then EA let her go, but she was not allowed to reveal that according to contract details. But she is now gone. She has announced and told the world she is starting a small studio. She's hoping to aim for about 15 people, so they can make a smaller indie game, which makes sense. We're watching a lot of these people who are leaving the industry and moving to smaller studios like Ken Levine. So
a lot of stuff going around about AA going to become really much more important in the future.
I think it's better for someone who has so much cachet. Like, she does have a lot, and also this woman has been trying to ship a game for the past, I think, 5 or 6 years now, because she worked on Uncharted 4, then was kicked off of that, and then went on to EA, kicked off of that.
I don't understand.
So we don't know. We may never know what happened in either of these circumstances, but
bought by Google.
No.
Well, yeah, there you go. But it would make a lot of sense for her to want to do something small that they could just release a narrative experience that.
That's what she's good at.
It definitely has to be frustrating to continue to get so close to the finish line and not finish.
And just have your feet come out from under you. Just.
Man. I agree.
There really should have been an innuendo in there.
What's interesting is hearing a lot of the negative stuff, positive stuff too. But there's been a lot of negative stuff about people trying to blame her for the failure of a bunch of other games and the possibility that 4 wasn't as good.
It's really interesting to see what happens because 4 specifically has all kinds of rumors. There are rumors that Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley were trying to dethrone her because she was so high up at Naughty Dog, which does make a whole lot of sense now that Straley has left Naughty Dog. So whether or not those rumors have validity, it could have just been Neil himself, but it's hard to believe that he would do it, knowing that individual as...
There was a romantic affair. It had to have been.
It's a number of things, and she's been in the industry forever and has shipped tons of games, so it's weird that people are trying to blame her now when she has been known for all kinds of franchises.
Yeah, I was curious if you thought that, maybe there was anything that she could have been blamed for, because I don't see anything.
I think that Naughty Dog had a shakeup in the direction in which they were taking their games, including Uncharted 4, and she had a disagreement with the direction, so she left. And I think that with EA, they closed down Visceral, and it was out of her hand to a degree.
Sounds fair.
Another big thing in the news, which we've talked about on and off before, so we're kind of revisiting again, is Fortnite and PUBG, the never-ending war of legal supremacy.
I love it. They have Bluehole back down. Bluehole. They definitely didn't. I don't think we didn't think they had a standing in the lawsuit to begin with, but also we were talking about with 10 cents. Yeah, I can't always want to say 10 cent. Basically owning a large portion of both, and it's just it didn't make any sense. And they're like, why am I going to pay a bunch of lawyers a bunch of money for stuff that I just won't stop?
Well, not only that, arguably they were like getting so much flack for it. Like, so many people were like, why are we even bothering with this? You like trying to own this makes no sense.
Well, I mean, the whole actual argument where people were kind of getting misconstrued with was the fact that it was the baseline code. They say, well, you helped us build the Unreal Engine 4 to handle the 100-player VR, and then you took that from us and basically wrote your own game from underneath of us and then blasted it out and then undercut us. Like, yeah, I can understand why they would be upset. But, I mean, obviously they had to come to the plate and say, either here's the settlement, which, of course, no one's talking about, or they sat there and said, here's the baseline code. No, we didn't. Eat crap and stop trying to cost me more money. Yeah. That's pretty much where we're standing.
Also, Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, there's
a classic.
Yes.
Card game.
I love that game, by the way. And also, another great game to play on the Vita. There's a card game coming out that was funded. It was only needed like $50,000, and it freaking soared way past that. It sounds like a really interesting card game from the maker of Binding of Isaac, and he actually created the cards himself. Like, did a lot of really cool stuff.
Art style's got to be on point. I mean, just the art style of Binding of Isaac is ridiculous. So
It's
absolutely.
beautiful.
it can only be amazing.
Well, and there's rumor. It's weird because there are rumors originally when this was announced that it was going to be like Zelda Four Swords Adventure.
Yeah.
And then Edmund came out himself and was like, "No, it's nothing like Four Swords Adventure." So we don't really know what the gameplay will entail, so to speak. But we know that there's cards and it looks like it's going to be fun, set in the Binding of Isaac universe.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Kickstarter, the way they just said you could choose different characters and they would have different skill sets, and you would like make bonds with each other and then betray each other possibly based on the type of character you are.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to the same acts that you have inside the game. Like you get either more health, you can heal yourself, or you can cause more damage or whatever.
I don't know if you guys have played the Munchkin games before, but I feel like it's probably going to be
That makes a lot of sense.
a main character around the Munchkin game type setup. If you play those board games, they're pretty cool. They're like I don't know, they're fun. We should play them sometime.
Yeah,
We should.
absolutely.
Yep.
One of the next topics that we had, or next news pieces, is that Todd Howard has mentioned that there's going to be no console crossplay. However, I don't know. You may actually know the answer to this. In reading the article, I didn't see if they mentioned PC crossplay at all,
They didn't mention it, no.
which I thought was super odd. If you're going to throw shade on Sony, at least be like, we're working with Xbox and PC though. Totally good.
Yeah.
No, I think the idea, I think the understanding here is that almost every other platform is really going to get included here, or it has been included in some sense. You know, I mean, PC, you know, you alone as the
23 people. Yep.
Yeah, basically. But wait, what?
I said 23 people on the PC version.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, but wait. Do you mind clicking the link because I want to get the exact quote? Oh no, actually, it's right there. I'm sorry. Sony is not as helpful as everyone would like. That is the quote from Todd Howard.
I just did anybody expect them to be like, yeah, you're gonna be able to play with Xbox on this?
To me, it's totally like right now, it's just been continuing. One, I think we're at a place where a lot of the industry is complaining because the industry are the ones who have one of each system. They have all the stuff, so they're burdened, but actual consumers really aren't that burdened. But I feel like every single studio and every single company right now is like the annoying kid in high school. It's like, yeah, it's funny, right? Yeah, let me tell that joke again. Yeah, it's funny, right?
Basically.
My God, just let it go.
Yeah.
We know.
I think part of it too is that they have to go out of their way to like pool everyone.
Yeah.
Like, well, we don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Stop making us do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess everybody just jumps on the train of maybe we can push them far enough that they finally do it, you know, sort of thing.
But I think that is kind of the point, is the PR stance. Like, hey, are we going to be able to nudge them? And Sony's put up their wall, and they're like, it's going to take a lot more than that.
Yeah, I think the big part was that once crossplay was kind of brought in anyway on some of the other AAA games that are out now, is, you know, everybody else was like, well, maybe we should do that too, you know, that kind of thing. And it's kind of become a thing that consumers look for now too.
Well, where do you stop it too?
Yes.
Where if you let the crossplay happen here, everybody's gonna be like, well, I want crossplay on my game. And they'll be like, no, and they're like, well, what do I have to do to get it? And it's like, you can't do it, and it's kind of this whole thing they don't want to
during
deal
the
with.
next generation, it's going to be cross-play, cross-pollination into one utopia.
Sounds dirty.
With Google.
All owned by Google.
All along by Google, apparently. Speaking of one thing that you would need for all of that is going to be internet. AT&T is beginning to roll out their 5G and whatnot.
Because segues are fun.
Because segues are great.
Yeah, no, so gigabit to homes, anyway, has been kind of a problem because fiber usually needs to be run to do that. Coax, for example, cannot carry anything greater, as it stands, anything greater than, I think, 500 or 600 megabit per second. That's the max you can get over coax, which every home has now.
Yeah.
Just like Twisted Pair. However, not every home has fiber, and you can't quite get fiber to the home at this point. AT&T is rolling out 5G tech, you know, like we have 4G LTE available on our phones right now. 5G tech, anyway, is supposed to be a much broader spectrum and allow up to or beyond 1 gigabit per second speeds. However, the application that they're using for it is direct point-to-point to your home. So the idea is that homes that cannot run fiber or need or want fiber, so the idea is they put a tower up in the middle of a neighborhood, and whatever homes want the fiber option, it's like putting up a satellite dish. They put an antenna on top of your house, point it towards the source antenna, and you get gigabit speeds in your home.
That's cool. Who wants to lag during storms?
Yeah.
Basically, well, but the idea is that it's better than the alternative of AT&T telling you by the way, if you want fiber in your home or if you want gigabit speeds in your home for us to run fiber out there, it's going to cost you about $12,000.
Yeah. So I mean, we always learned that the first in first out with Spectrum was kind of like, at least in our area, was kind of the issue where like, yeah, you're getting 200 megabits per second, but in peak times you're sharing that 200 megabits with everybody in your area.
Well, actually, that's a coax thing specifically.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So if everybody's hooked up to the AT&T satellite tower, is that going to affect it the same way?
Probably have to at some point, but we'll enough people like Netflix isn't going to do that. But if you're all like downloading Star Citizen from their godly servers,
at
take like
44 megabytes a second or whatever the hell it was.
It is also super, I guess, interesting because like you said, who really wants to pay like all that to get the wires ran out?
Yeah,
Google just did it.
Oh yeah,
like that's fine.
Well, okay, so
they outsourced AT&T to do it.
What? Yeah, but I'm saying like Google copped the cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Google.
So this is why they're like, we'll run a wire.
Google Fiber is an interesting story of the whole Topeka thing. That I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but the idea was that they did it initially to show other ISPs that
hey, you can do it.
Hey, you can do it. It's relatively cost effective, and you can still make money doing it. Better yet, Google offered a free tier to even show that you could still afford to do that too.
Free internet for life. $300.
Like the only thing you had to pay for was $20 up front for a modem, and that was it.
Well, you had to pay 30. Yeah, it was like $350, but that's internet for life.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But
like
I would do that.
But
and
it was like 12 megabit a second or something like that. I mean, it's good enough. You can browse the web. You could really stream video if you wanted to. It's not awful. No,
it won't be good.
But the idea is you have internet access. But,
720.
But yeah, AT&T I guess finding another medium anyway because they still don't want to spend the money to run fiber for some reason.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, and there are a lot of people. I mean, there's someone we work with who lives all the way out in the boonies, and his biggest issue right now is internet. As a matter of fact, he was trying to play The Witcher on Xbox One and had to bring his system into the office to download patches in the game and all of that, and then take it back home because he just has terrible internet. So the opportunity to even give rural customers better internet easier.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's worse is like my parents are from. I mean, we're also from a small town, but like my mom was joking to me the other day about the podcast being long because she has to watch like a super low quality. So like to watch our podcast, that I think the one was just short of 2 hours. It took her like she had to wait a whole day for it to load so that she could watch it.
That's terrifying.
I was like, yeah, you should move. You should move.
Yeah.
One other cool thing that's finally going to be hopefully happening, rumored again for the 10th time and maybe to be changed for the 12th time, is the GTX series. The 1180 is hopefully actually coming out.
The idea is this time it's actually a little bit more concrete. Just because there is a title for what was it called? There's the convention that's coming up in August. It's like
it's the
chip something hard chip something like that. But there's actually an event or I guess a speaker in the announcement anyway from NVIDIA saying the next generation of mainline GPUs. Anyway,
see what's weird, and the reason that I felt this article was super odd, especially coming from The Verge, because for most of the time The Verge is a pretty credible source. That was already there. So that conference was there, and then all the shufflings happened, then they pulled it, and then it's the exact same thing again. Mm-hmm. So to me, it either seems like they didn't actually pull it, B, somebody looked at an old list, or something's about here. Because it's the exact same dude, exact same title, everything's the same. And I was like, that's suspect. That's,
I mean,
that's not right.
To be fair, they may have pulled it, I guess, to confirm what he had mentioned before of like a while from now, but...
I feel like if
they may have shoveled it back in there silently, like they're not going to know what's happening.
Company with a couple $100 million in stock, and you knew this was going to happen, you wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit.
Maybe we're wrong. Either way, this right here has been what we like to call the important. I thought there was going to be an echo, and I'm very glad it wasn't.
I was sitting there.
You looked at us, and then I heard him queuing up, and I was like, I should join that. Too late.
Well, I sat there and I was like, he's not going to make it, so I started.
See, that's why I kind of tried to rush a little bit. I wanted to catch Brent off guard like he was off guard.
I'm just too tired to catch on anything
today.
today. So.
I'm staring at you and I got caught off guard, so
that's good. I like it.
But you were super excited about Fortnite in this event, so I think we should go right into your topic and let's talk about it.
So, quick synopsis for those of you who are like the 12 people in the world that haven't heard about this stupid event. Basically, Fortnite decided to, this whole previous season, lead up to what became a rocket launch. It got down to the point where, I don't know exactly when it started, but on the TVs in the game, they would say, like, hey, this rocket's going to launch. You knew where it was on the map, yada, yada. So it happened at, I believe, 1:30 Eastern time. On Saturday was the exact time. But either way, they made it very clear, like, hey, you got to be in a game. It's going to happen once. Good luck across all servers. So you saw a whole bunch of big-name streamers and a whole bunch of people, like, streaming this live event. The biggest name, Ninja, I think 450,000 people were watching just him.
Wow.
I think Fortnite at the time was right close to 1 million on just Twitch.
Makes a lot of sense.
And everyone had different perspectives. Like Ninja, for example, he got at the base of the rocket, so he could watch the whole thing go up.
That's cool.
The guy that I in particular watched was actually kind of far away because the game is going on and people can kill you, which I'm going to get to in a second. But, the guy I was watching was like kind of off into the boonies, but basically missile comes out, shoots up, gets like, you know how when the missiles detach the original thruster, when it detaches, it kind of like warps up, and you're like, oh, that's it. And then it busts back down and goes towards the spot that everybody... It's like the most popular piece of the map in Fortnite. It's called Tilted Towers. Everyone thought that it's going to blow it up. But as it's about to hit the thing, another like shield comes up and it like teleports it off the map. And you're like, well, that's weird. And then it comes in the side and it like shoots around and like goes around the map. And then it goes out again. And then it comes back again for Tilted. And it comes out of Tilted, hits the ceiling and like cracks the whole ceiling. So like just a fissure in space. It's really cool. There's a bunch of really cool perspectives. I retweeted one from the guy that I was watching. When the missile re-enters, it like looks like it's coming at him, and it's a cool angle. Ninja has a really cool angle. His is from the base. Either way, super cool event. They did this live in real time with what I assume is hundreds of thousands, if not tens of millions of people live in game. Millions of people watching. Crazy event to pull off. The thing on the killing notion before we get into just discussing it. The solo kill record was set by a kid who, not to knock his skill, has a very bad KD, a very bad win rate. He does not seem like an excellent player. All these people out there watching it, and he shoots the legs out, and I think he got like over 30 kills from that.
33.
The total kill count for him that game...
48.
It was 48. The record was 48. I think he killed 33 from one platform and then like 10 from another, and I guess he picked up some hurt people.
Yeah.
But it's 48 total kills, and so that record will probably never be broken unless there's like stream sniping or something set up. That's cool. Kid's got a record.
Yeah.
Talk about an opportunist.
People are not happy with him.
Yeah. Either way, I just kind of want to get your thoughts. The only thing that we've really seen somewhat of this is Call of Duty's had some events, Destiny's had some events, so we've seen small scenarios like this, but nothing really to this event. Yeah. Something Fortnite says they want to keep doing. I assume other games are also going to follow suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I want you to know that I was listening to you the entire time very intently, but in the back of my head, I just wanted to go, the important... like, sorry, I was just delayed. No, this is awesome. This was... it came out of nowhere for me because I don't play Fortnite. I've never really dove into a game. My younger brothers love it. They play all the time. So seeing the reactions on Twitter and other social media where people are just blowing up about this, there's all kinds of recording, like GIFs, pictures, all kinds of cool stuff. Yep. And then all day to day, just going through the various platforms, just consistently. Not only were people talking about it, but talking about that kid who got the kill count. They're talking about how the crack keeps spreading. Like it is like a beat for beat, moment for moment update on what's going on in Fortnite right now. It is hot. This is great. I think it's awesome.
They know how to handle their marketing. I know that.
Yeah.
You want to keep people interested? That's one way to do it.
What's really funny is, like, we had seen, like, within the past 2 weeks, a lot of articles coming out. They were like, Fortnite's slowing down, Fortnite's maybe declining, Fortnite's kind of regressing, it's not doing as good, like, its numbers are finally dipping, what's going to happen? And then, boom, just like that, they're like, hey, don't forget about us. Yeah. Right here.
Well, it's, again, their marketing is on point. And they knew it. It's almost like they know when there's going to be a dip. And they're like, people's... Their attention span's going to be about 2 more weeks. We got to do something. All right, send the rocket out.
What I do find very interesting is I do believe that because I feel like we're getting shorter and shorter attention spans with games because you had something like, for lack of a better term, you had WoW was like the first like huge game. I feel like that had a good 5-8 year run. I'm not going to include
you go. Just go ahead. Just keep going.
But then you go from that to like Call of Duty became like the big like household common. Everyone knew what it was.
Yeah.
Then you had Minecraft take over for like a good stint as well. Minecraft was there for a super long time. But then since then it's like PUBG became everything and then it went away. And then Fortnite's become everything. And then there's the rumors of us going away. I feel like our attention span's getting shorter. Even had League of Legends came up and then faded away in popularity.
I don't think its attention spans are getting shorter so much as it is there's just more stuff.
Yeah.
There's more stuff vying for attention, and games are trying to find a way to capitalize on that, and they're becoming more and more grandstanding in this. And Fortnite's a great example of that, where they were trying to be like, hey, people are walking away, come back, we're here.
Well, the same thing goes to Pokemon Go. I mean, like, you gotta keep doing something to keep people's interest, because people like me will fall off, and then it's you have to work even harder to get those people back.
I do think it's going to be very interesting because I think Fortnite is doing a great job of setting up what games that are going to replace it are going to do.
Yeah.
Because I do think Fortnite is, at the end of the day, I think just the BR I think is going to slowly fade away.
It could be. I mean, it could be
Brent
around
is
for a
having
while.
the time of his
I'm
life.
trying really hard not to laugh. I will explain when we're off there. I just can't stop smiling about it.
I'm terrified.
Don't worry
Me
about
too.
it.
Anyway, I do think that Fortnite is, I guess, giving its competitors something to defeat them with,
Yeah.
and also giving. It could be setting the bar and like live on in a legacy of like Fortnite was the first to do this, this, and this.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the first time where there's been an interaction of some kind.
Yeah, and I don't
But
disagree.
they're doing it on a scale that is impressive. And
Yeah, like
other
Ubisoft
games are going to have
can't
to
launch a game. They just launched a missile in the middle of like 100 games or thousands of games.
Yeah.
It's an impressive feat that they really show that they're putting a lot of work into it, and they want to stick around for a while. And I guess a part of the gaming community is they want you to stick around, but you have to portray that to your community, and otherwise they're going to lose faith in you too. It's almost like leadership in a way.
Yeah.
It's like you have to believe in what they're saying, or you're going to go to someone else that you think is going to lead you correctly.
I do think the one huge missed opportunity here is I feel like everyone who was in a game when that happened should have gotten some memento.
Yes.
It's non-account transferable. That's like maybe it's a pin on your thing or
Something
whatever.
cosmetic that you could just showcase that you were there.
I was there. Like the solar eclipse kind of thing, Like I got the little glasses.
But instead, we have YouTube videos and.
Yeah, I mean, it is still really cool that it's in the zeitgeist today, and will continue to be in the zeitgeist for the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yep.
And guaranteed, this is not the last time they're doing it. Like, this is leading up to something bigger, because, like I said, sky's cracked, it's growing, like, it's doing... They're hinting and leading to other things similar to how they hinted and led to this, so...
Well, I mean, there's also that talk about the building going away.
Yeah.
Could it be that they're going to replace it with something like
destroy the
slip
biggest city or whatever.
Well, that or slip space even. Like, you're creating portals and you're able to create a portal from here, and then you can run across the map, create another portal, and that'll be your like
One's
go-to.
going to take you to Aperture Science Laboratory.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It
that'd
turns
be
out
great.
this is all just a lead up to Portal 3, and it's in Fortnite.
Hey, that'd be it. It actually does take you to the Half-Life.
Yeah.
That'd be a way better place. I do think the one thing that I want to transition to, I guess, a question would be, we've seen this before, League of Legends, Division, and other companies have made like themed stuff for the holidays. You've seen Overwatch Christmas skins. League used to like winterize their map back in the day, which I thought was super cool. Even Call of Duty doing stuff, put up Christmas lights on certain maps. So will Overwatch.
Yeah.
I think all these things are cool, but I know we're about to get the Pokemon Go event, but in your preferred games, like what are some ideas and whatnot you would want to see in major games?
I'm so sorry.
We are on the air, sir.
I'm so sorry.
Jesus. That was really loud. I didn't expect
It's like
that.
the third call he's ever gotten in his life.
Yeah.
It's exciting, I mean,
Games I prefer. I mean, the problem is I am very much a single player individual. There are certain games that I do hop along and enjoy. I always thought that it was
Pokemon Go.
I mean, Pokemon Go is a good example, but they do these minor events that are cool where they populate specific
Pikachu's Christmas
Pokemon. Yeah, that kind of stuff, which is fun. I don't expect much more from that. They now have real world weather, so it'd be interesting if they were like, hey, it's snowing in Pokemon Go, so we're going to populate a bunch of ice Pokemon during Christmas.
This
that kind of
would
thing.
never go over well because this would be like, this would be such bad. But if you would hide legendaries inside of like tornadoes and stuff, oh my god!
No, I need this happen.
12
but
kids were killed today.
you want to be part of that Verizon commercial? There you go.
yeah,
Exactly.
but I always thought it'd be cool for now that we have games that are consistently online, like we're talking about Division, Call of Duty, like all these things. Division specifically, where you enter Division Destiny, you enter a world and you're in that world for a while. I totally wish they did something like real-time weather effects that would totally change with the seasons, so you had a little bit of difference and variety to the levels.
The problem is, like in Division, like the actual gameplay itself relied pretty heavily on the fact of it staying cold.
Yeah, but now
And
we're moving.
nighttime.
Now we're moving to DC, so it doesn't have to.
Division was always at nighttime, right?
No, there was daytime.
When you were in the DZ, it was pretty. It was a good portion of it. Was
I feel like it was section of the map because the bottom right. I just started playing recently again. I feel like it's always night at the bottom right of the map. I just now noticed that. I don't think I've seen daylight in days.
I think you're wrong. I also thought it was a missed opportunity for Little Big Planet because they always did DLC around Christmas. It was like Nightmare Before Christmas or Christmas hat and stuff. But stickers, levels. Like, hey, Media Molecule has made 3 free levels. They all connect, and it's a Christmas story that we tell. And you can collect stuff.
Theme. Look
at
that.
LBP is one step away from being a marketing tool.
It's almost,
I agree.
Completely. Like, hey, here's the Burger King stickers you guys all wanted.
I agree 100%. And it works well.
It's almost like they had this idea, Little Big Planet World, and it just...
Little Big Planet Hub.
Little Big Planet Hub, my bad.
And they just dropped it. Like
it was hot.
Yeah, it just makes me so angry.
I do find it very interesting, like what you're saying. I think real-time weather... GTA does something similar to this currently.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish that more games did that because I think that is a huge missed opportunity.
Call of Duty World War II did it too. So they have like the winter setting, and then when spring came, they melted all the snow, and they have different stuff going on.
So they have that in the little headquarters. Yeah. And I think more stuff like that. I think is super cool. Like I think even Destiny did the theming of the tower for holidays and whatnot.
That's cool.
I would like to see more of that stuff. I do really like what Fortnite's doing. It feels very. This feels to me like what I thought Quantum Break was going to be.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That level of real-world immersion.
I thought Quantum Break was going to have like that real-world TV show, like I need to watch this live / play the game / be interactive type deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it didn't.
Quantum Break. I've never played the game.
Is it Quantic or Quantum?
Quantum.
I thought it was Quantum Break.
I thought.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
QB, as we'll call it. QB.
You're making me doubt myself now.
I always thought it would have been smarter for them to have made that an episodic game, where you would get an episode and then you get a chapter, and then you get an episode and chapter. I digress. That's not part of this conversation.
I don't know what conversation we're on anymore. We step back. And
we're talking about seasons and games.
Yeah.
You gotta do the salsa around.
I mean, outside of multiplayer games, I don't see how you could really do it because it's something that would be easily changed. A single player game.
Yeah.
Last of Us.
Rayman Legends.
Last of Us. You easily Christmas, summer, 4th of July, Independence Day, all that stuff. Rayman Legends, you get that out of here.
I think that kind of integration is like simple integration is great, but that's not what Fortnite did. They did something that's slightly complex.
Like imagine God of War, some Odin's birthday or some Greek mythology holiday. Yes. I don't know what that is, but on that day, if you go in, Odin comes down.
You're just cursed by the gods right now. Odin, some Greek god. You just pissed off 2 pantheons.
Yeah.
Odin's Norse.
Both of them.
Okay.
Fight.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, see, Kratos is confused. He goes back and forth, confuses me.
I feel like single player it's harder to do and doesn't necessarily need to be there because I think the part of the spectacle is the multiplayer.
Infamous make it snowy in Seattle. Put some Christmas.
It doesn't snow.
It just sounds like a lot of extra stuff that isn't really necessary in certain games to really give you the immersion.
Extra. It's the cherry on the top.
I don't disagree, and I mean,
if I get a game on Christmas and I load it up and it's Christmas theme, I'm like, that's something.
Well, there are certain things that it doesn't even have to be that kind of spectacle. Like Second Sons had a great off-game integration where you would go to a website and they gave you crime things to solve, like puzzles essentially, where you're following. It's called the paper trail, and you would solve a puzzle. It would point you to a location in game. You tied your account to the game. You would then go there, and it was a side mission, and you followed this series of side missions both in game and out of game in order to get something. And it allowed you to move at your own pace. I feel like those kinds of things for single player work so much better because it allows the player to kind of integrate how they want, and you're a little bit more flexible.
I really wanted paper power.
I know. I wanted paper power too. Instead, you gotta because. Infamous Second Sons, you get multiple powers. It's Delson's powers that he can absorb.
It's pretty much the guy wears the Donnie Darko mask.
And so you get to the end of it, and you're following this character that has the power to control and become paper. And you're like, oh, we're getting a paper power.
And you
like,
just see trails of paper flying everywhere.
You're like, no. Actually, you just get a mask. That's like a rabbit mask. It's paper.
That's cool. What's weird is I played that game. I don't remember that.
I know. It's because it's all part of the side thing. You didn't have to play it. Okay. It's entirely tied to this.
I was like, dude, there was neon. I didn't see it.
The pacing of those powers killed me, but beyond the setting, I mean, I don't think it's necessary for me. I mean, I agree with you. If you're releasing something for Christmas, you better got some Christmas things going in to get people in the mood to want to play it, or knows you're gonna feel like summer and Christmas.
Like, imagine how easy it is. Division. Don't even change the map. Just change the little login screen where your dudes is down there.
Yeah.
Put a Christmas hat on my guy.
Yeah, and simple stuff like that. Pokemon Go is really good about that.
Yeah.
Once every 3 months, I think they changed the login to match something.
I think it'd be really cool if we're playing Division and the weather in your area is actually the weather that's being put into the game.
See, the problem is Division's set in a specific map. So if it's DC, I wish they would take the real-time weather of DC and put it in the
That's
map.
what I'm talking about, like super thick snow or whatever.
Yeah, but see, then you get so convoluted. Like right now it's real hot. You guys got lower stamina.
Yep.
I'm not gonna be able to beat this mission till winter. Come
Yep,
on.
I'd be like,
absolutely.
guys, we're taking a 3-month hiatus. We'll be back here in the summer. I'm tired of trudging through the snow.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring it up. I think Epic, you are some phenomenal developers. Can you make something that is first person or not Fortnite?
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. It was very cool. I think we're going to move on to John's topic.
Ooh. So there's been a lot of making of games into movies and anime into movies, kind of like
Love.
In love.
Yeah. You said there's been a lot of making.
Of love. Oh,
Making love.
But so like Death Note, for instance, that was a horrible anime to movie.
Both.
The American looking one.
Both
or
of
the
them
Asian?
were
Yeah,
horrible.
both of them were really bad.
You know, actually, I'm curious. Which one do you think was worse?
Definitely the American one, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
Because that was the one where it was like Sanford, Tokyo.
Yes, yes.
Tokyo.
San Fran, Tokyo is a great way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was...
whitewash was an understatement. Like, I couldn't believe how bad that was.
Was it Light Smith or something? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was so
It
bad.
was so stupid. It wasn't
so
worth it.
bad.
But, you know, we
bad.
have all these bad renditions, and, you know, like, I enjoy Ghost in the Shell, but a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
What is it going to take for us to be able to see, like, Halo? I mean, this is what brought it up. This is what
Money.
gave me the idea. Well, no, I just meant, like, to make it good. Not why
Money.
do
Yeah.
it.
Money.
No, I'm saying that's why it's going to take to make it good. I feel like most of these have been like, for the ones that they've taken, like they're ones that need money. Like
Yeah.
Halo needs money. Like you can't.
A lot of
You
money.
need suits. Like you need that. I mean, you can
CGI is
maybe
gonna
get
be
away
through
with it,
the
but
roof.
your CGI is going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the stuff that we want to see, like even like Death Note. Like just think, I don't know what are the thing that holds the book called?
The
Shooting
Death
guns.
Eaters? Shooting
Those
guns.
guys, like what are
Death
you gonna do with
Eaters.
that? You either gonna have like the weirdest looking, terrible budget, cheap thing, or you need to CG that and make it cool.
So, but
Death Note, I do think
was-
is the cheapest one you could probably get away with.
I don't think money's a factor because
Yeah.
you don't need money to make Death Note. They had
Right.
Willem Dafoe as Ryuk, which
Who
was
did
an
a good job.
amazing choice. They had a
Killed
great
it.
looking Ryuk CGI wise.
Yeah.
They just went completely off kilter with the script
Yeah,
and
script
the
was
location.
And the character, like the people they cast.
I
was
think it
horrible.
takes heart and it takes people who care about those projects behind it.
I feel like the person that made that movie just watched the anime and was like, all right, let's do it.
like
I
Ghost
don't
of
think they watched it.
I don't.
I think
I'm
they
giving
like,
them the benefit of the doubt.
I think they were like, "Hey friend, what is a really good anime?
Yeah.
Death Note. What happens?"
Yeah, there you go.
Goes on his phone.
Ghost in the Shell is a great example. Ghost in the Shell had the budget. They
Yeah.
got Scarlett Johansson.
Yep.
They had a great cast. And for the most part, that world is very well realized. But you can totally tell that the way they put the script together was a bunch of people who were like, we want to do it according to the anime. And executives came in and said, that's too confusing. You can't do that.
Yep.
And so they stripped it out of everything that made it unique and interesting and made it into a generic action film.
I mean, they did do a lot of the major sequences, which I thought were great, and the CGI in itself was really well done.
Yeah.
Major sequences.
I do think that it's a very interesting place because I feel like it's like that with everything not Marvel right now. If it's
Yeah.
not owned by
Yeah.
Disney, like even Transformers. I feel like the first few Transformer films we got, like it started here and now we're somewhere through the floor.
Yeah,
and back.
it's like
But even properties owned by Disney, if they're not handled correctly, will go down the gutter, which is
Sell
what
up.
happened. Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson is rife. I've talked about this last episode.
Yeah.
Rife for adaptation. It is such a great story, great characters, great world. They made a film and it was god awful. And they made very few alterations from the actual storyline. It just wasn't put together really well. With a sequel that sucked even more.
So we know it's going to take money. That without a doubt is true. But I'm thinking more like art direction too. Getting the right directors, the people that have the vision, or just someone like us being there, being like, we're super fans of this. We're going to be able to guide you and tell you this is crap or not.
Yeah, see, that's my thing, though, is I feel like so many of these movies, like, you have pre-screeners.
I'll do
Yeah.
it for free.
You have people who tell you this sucks. Like, there is no way the people who saw Deadpool, like, the internal people who worked on that project, if any of them had watched Death Note and then re-watched this film that they created, and were like, nah, it's good, we should totally run it.
yeah.
No.
None of them would have done that. They would have all been like, well,
We gotta throw this
is
away.
a joke, right? You're going for, like, the Sharknado effect thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and again, I think it comes down to people. I mean, it's similar to what you're talking about. People with the proper vision who understand the source material. Death Note was very obviously made by someone who had a specific vision that was not the core source material. He just liked the idea, so he took it and made a movie.
like
Even the one that was the Asian real live action movie, they took out entire storylines and just cut.
Yeah,
well, I feel like a lot of that though is like chasing the dollar. Though they're like, oh, Death Note's really popular. I'm gonna make a Death Note thing. Like the anime that I've watched as well as Tokyo Ghoul, and they're supposedly making a live action version of that. Now, granted, it could be a super horror thing, but like these people have giant things that come out of them. Yeah. You really want to do that with a low budget? Come on now, it's gonna be terrible.
If they stick to like a simpler storyline without it getting too crazy, and it's just super like dark and gory, they can get away with it. But if they start going too,
the second they show somebody with giant white things coming out of them, and it's like again. Like the tube used for air conditioner.
Spoiler alert, it already came out and apparently it's not great.
Oh my god. Yeah. Called it.
Yeah. Oh my Just God. Like the Titan,
Attack on Titan.
Why
that one? Why that one?
Because it's popular.
Because
you're right. You are right. A lot of it is chasing the dollar. There's been rumors for years about that. Yeah. And Spike Spiegel being played by Keanu Reeves.
That would be the best.
It honestly would probably work out okay with Keanu.
I think they'd be better off with Jim Carrey.
No.
No, not for real. I was joking.
I do think body type, I think he would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, body type wise, yes. But with I don't know, Keanu Reeves could probably pull it off. He pulled off a good Neo, but he's
412.
What?
There's a whole picture of him where he's, that's fine.
Man, I must be really behind on the Instagrams.
The Instagrams.
A big deal for a while. They always say like Keanu Reeves is immortal, and they show pictures of like this dude from like the 1600s.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that, and it is really.
I think it definitely takes having a heart and having the focus and having the right backer. Again, we talked about Ghost of the Shell, and Ghost of the Shell was produced, I think, by either Warner Brothers or Paramount, one of the two, and they 100% stepped in. They intervened in that project. You need a company that's willing to let you play. Yeah. Netflix seems like the perfect playground for that because they make all kinds of weird shit.
Obviously not, because they let Death Note out into the world.
But again, they didn't intervene with the creator's idea. He had that concept. Yeah, and that's also part of the problem of not having the proper overlords is that sometimes it does result in bad projects.
So is there a solution then?
I don't even know the solution because just think about Star Wars. Like, how much did George Lucas love Star Wars, and how terrible were 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
And that's a dude who created Star Wars. Yeah. Like, that is his.
Yeah. Oh, he has a whole idea for, like, the back trilogy where he's going to include midichlorians again and go to the microscopic level. He announced this on Twitter. He's like, people would have not been happy. It's weird. It's tough because, A, it is subjective. I'm sure there's plenty of people who watched the Death Note thing and they're like, this is a really cool take on that universe. I didn't want this to be an exact copy.
Well, I think you just run into the issue of just like how I am with comics, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible place to be in. But like in comics, I prefer like certain series of a hero. Like I have an Arrow that I prefer, and it's not the Arrow that's in the TV show.
Yeah.
So like, no offense to the show is great, and people totally like the show. But I'm like, I like the comic version better. I don't care.
They would have got rid
but then there are certain ones where it's like, I'm like, cool, this TV show is way cooler than the comics. I wish it would be like this.
Come back to Team Arrow.
Well, I thought you said it was terrible again.
No, it's good.
No, you said the ending of the last season was worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like season 3.
Season 3's got a good mid-season finale. Terrible.
Is that when
the demon head?
Oh yeah.
We don't need to be. We're digressing.
But I do think that I think you run into that especially when it comes to gaming, because so many people feel a certain type of way about Halo.
Yeah.
So if they make a Halo show that is like the books, people who like the books are gonna probably hate it because they like the books. If they make a show that's like the games, people who like the games are probably gonna hate it because it's not the same.
See, the books to me accentuate what the game was. It gives you just more background, more personality.
See, I do feel very fortunate because I think Halo is one of the anomalies of people who really, really liked the games, then went and read the books, or people who read the books also really like it. There's not like a rift.
Well, I think timing's a thing in there too, because the book started coming out after 2. I would say, argue. Oh, yeah. So there's been growing pains. I'm sure there's a couple of books that fans don't like.
Yep.
I tell you, the whole entire Forerunner series.
Yeah, the Forerunner series.
The first book was fine. After that, just don't even bother. Jeez.
But there's going to be growing pains with this. I think what it takes is somebody with the right heart leading the project and the wherewithal to stick it out. Because there's going to be downs. Like you're talking about Arrow. I'm a big fan of Arrow. I enjoy the comic book character, and I like seeing this adaptation, despite the fact it's not like the comics. It has some really, like, Season 4 is god-awful. But they came back in Season 5 because they had someone with a vision who understood what fans wanted, how to fix these problems, and they did it.
Yep, and I don't disagree that totally is very viable. I just think, the better play and the safer play, in my opinion, is, like, take a game like Battlefield, take a game like Call of Duty, take a game where, like, at the end of the day, the story doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just make something and be like, I'm going to make like a Saving Private Ryan type of awesome war movie and brand it Battlefield.
Yeah.
Because
they tried to do that with Battleship, is what it felt like.
I thought that was based upon a board game.
It is.
But he's taking your example of Battlefield.
They took that movie and then slapped Battleship on it.
Right, but I think that should be more of a concept of, I want to make a story in this universe, but just like what Brent said, it should be like I want to make a story in this universe, and this is my interpretation and my vision of it. Not Fox's or Disney's or whoever's interpretation of it. And I think you get away with that more when it's something that people don't care about. And I think if we have a couple where people don't care about that succeed, like, I don't think the Warcraft movie was bad.
I never saw it, but I heard it wasn't
I
bad.
thought that it was like a decent movie. Now, granted, I also do not care at all about WoW.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like, oh, it's entertaining. Cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. And I think it's the same thing happens with a lot of the Lara Croft films. Those Tomb Raiders, where there are people who care about the character, care about the lore, and get super upset because the Angelina Jolie looks like her, but does nothing in the movie about it.
There's not even demons, though.
And to your argument of Battleship's just a bad movie.
Oh my
like,
God,
they could have made an awesome Battleship film where it's like Hunt for Red October with battleships. That would have been dope.
That would have been.
But instead, they made Alien Transformers. So I agree with you. I think your best play is to go after something with less story. And not that Gears of War has less story, but the games are iconically about this family. And I feel like if you were to go and make a TV show not about them, it'd be easier to do than something like Halo with Master Chief, because there's been so many spin-offs already in-game and out of game.
Just
it's become difficult to build that universe up.
Imagine the difference of Gears of War universe, not that family.
Yeah.
Or Gears of War universe, that family, like a Sopranos-esque. Like family drama.
Yeah.
Like, one of those has unreal expectations and it's going to fail no matter what.
Yeah.
The other one's possible.
Yeah.
Something with a lighter end story that it really wouldn't matter where you go or what you call things. It's just, hey, this is the world. You understand what that world is from the game. This is that storyline. That's where I think Cowboy Bebop could potentially do well, because a lot of it is just, this is a part of their story. Like, if you're not going into backstory and you don't try to change that part and just change what they're doing.
If they do it like they did the anime film,
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, they're basically, it was like their story was enveloped into what they were doing, as opposed to what they were doing was then a part of the storyline.
What I do find very odd as well is that we haven't seen this wave of stuff happen with children's stuff yet. Like, I could totally see like a Spyro the Dragon or a Croc or like a kid's game.
I mean, they tried a Ratchet and Clank and that didn't go well.
Sony's done Ratchet and Clank. Supposedly their Sly Cooper still in production. God knows if that'll ever come out. But there was a Skylanders TV show. Like, these things exist, but they typically move, instead of what they used to do, which was, hey, summer blockbuster Skylanders, it's now all moved to Netflix. It's all moved to streaming platforms. It's very tiny. Recently, Boss Baby has a spin-off TV show on Netflix, which most people wouldn't know unless you go and look at Netflix like I do for 12 hours.
I think it's very interesting because, like, even us to an extent, but more like the generation 10 years above us, like, when you watch something on TV, like, those were the toys you wanted. Yeah. So, like, to me, it only makes sense to, like, if I was a kid and I watched, like, use The Incredibles, for example, like, that's a really cool movie series, right? There's an Incredibles video game, like, a kid's going to want to buy that video game. You got easy one-to-one sell right there from a toy.
And that's why Lego's Incredibles launched with the movie.
True.
I think timing's another factor here we're not really touching on, but timing is so important. Like we talked about with the books in Halo. Like, I feel like there's enough breathing room for the expanded universe to naturally grow and fans to gravitate towards it. Arguably, the new Tomb Raider film came out this year because there's enough breathing room from Angelina Jolie's 2 films that you could, they've already reinvented the character in the games, we'll just adapt that to film now and we're good to go.
Well, and that's why I'm like almost like, I know they said they want to bring back Master Chief. Obviously, he's got to be in there somewhat, but it's almost like start somewhere else that you don't. Yeah, you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Because you have, if you even have a Spartan there, doesn't matter what you call it. There was 300 of them. Well,
yeah.
Half of them was right. Anyway, so you have all these Spartans that you could choose from. Pick a storyline. They'll be happy just to see the suit with the ODSTs and everything else.
What kills me as well is like, I mean, there's so many things in the same vein that I totally just lost it on. I'm out.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say he lost his thought. I wanted to say that I thought it would be cool. And granted, I don't know the lore of Halo like you guys do, but a Halo series that follows an ODST squad hunting down a rogue Spartan. Because you get to see the power of the Mjolnir suit, the power of what a Spartan is, making them an evil character to kind of get people used to it, but you don't have to use them a whole lot. They're kind of there in the background, and then you have this human team that's trying to take down this figure.
Or you have two storylines happening simultaneously. I mean, these are hour-long episodes.
Like a red team and a blue team?
No. Or like a weak team and a strong team.
Okay.
Or A team and B team. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I have recaptured my thought.
Okay.
My thought here was that when you have like Star Wars and whatnot, like Star Wars Rogue One was a fantastic film.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to, it had to do with Star Wars, obviously, but by and large, it had nothing to do with Star Wars. It was a separate tangent with people we didn't know. We saw like 5 or 6 people the whole movie that carried over.
It doesn't have anything to do with the Skywalker family, which is what the core franchise does.
Yes. And I think that you could easily get away with that in a ton of games. And speaking of breathing room, I think we're going to be in a very interesting realm when I really hope in, say, 2 to 3 years, when Uncharted's kind of like faded away, we finally get the Uncharted film.
Yeah, but Nathan Fillion's going to be too old.
He can't act in everything.
He can. He can be in it all.
But I think that if you gave that
use
film...
CGI, make him look in it.
There you go.
Well, how would you do that?
You wouldn't.
I think...
He would have to be an older man, kind of like Sully for someone else. I think you could do it.
He could just be Sully.
Oh, man. Give Nathan
Fillion
a cigar.
Yeah.
Facial hair.
But the problem is his attitude is just too much like Nathan.
We can talk about this off.
He's an actor. He can do what he wants. It's his job.
You're not wrong.
But I think if you gave that film, or they gave that breathing room, I think that could be an easy one that would be...
Yeah.
I mean, Drake goes on crazy stories. You could just... you could be like, hey, Naughty Dog writers, you want to write a movie?
Well, yeah.
Cool, check this out.
Here's why Nathan Fillion can't be Sully. Mustache.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's the mustache with facial hair.
No.
No. It's all butt skin right here.
The line between truth...
I don't know where we're at anymore.
All right, so
anyways,
he tried.
So what they can do is do a young Drake TV series.
I can't take it serious anymore.
A young Drake TV series like they did Young Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Where it is
or in Uncharted 4 where they had that young series.
You don't even do him, do his brother.
Yeah, or Sam.
Yeah,
I'm totally down with that. Yeah. I do think that cross-pollination works really well. Like, Neil Druckmann has been writing the script for the Last of Us movie for a while now. Granted, that's stalled in production, but he is still trying to actively get that off the ground. I think that is super smart, involving these studios that care about these characters and getting them involved. And I also think that...
But that's why it'll probably be good.
Exactly. And I also think that offshoots are awesome, and that we should embrace them, much like we're talking here. Like Kingdom Hearts, I was describing downstairs as a very crazy franchise with a god awful story sometimes. But having an offshoot cartoon show that hits that like mid tier anime, so like we're talking like the teen Naruto, One Piece, like aiming for that shonen level, I think would totally be killer, and it has to have nothing to do with the games.
What you do is we just think. See, we're too busy here thinking in the year 2018. We got to think of the year like 2035, like those stupid little memes. What we need to do is we need to think about this whole awesome Kingdom Hearts idea, right?
Yeah.
We make it first person.
Okay.
We have kids because they all have iPads now. Because why not, right?
Yeah.
They have an interactive platform to where like every week they like kind of choose the path as character, and like the biggest votes, goes and does it. And then after it does it the next week, then it's like pre-recorded from then on out.
So it's like an FMV.
Well, I don't know what FMV stands for.
Full motion video game.
Sure, but it's live on TV.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's weird.
So when they want to take your eye and put the iPhone into your actual eye, like they did in Futurama, you're just going to be okay with it and just walk around, do all this stuff, and you'll be the character in the game.
It depends. Can I get a robotic knee so that it doesn't creak? If yes, then on board with the eye.
So I think as a cap to this conversation, we've talked about what we think they should do. We've talked about things that we've wanted. why don't we end with a round table of like the one thing we would want to see?
I want to see personally. I want to see more thought, more insight being brought into these things. I think there's plenty of money being brought into it that they can still make it good, even on a lower end, cheaper end scale. They just have to bring it in.
I think he was meaning a specific game.
Yeah.
Oh, a specific game? Yeah,
not
Halo.
even-
I actually want to see Halo do well.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a game, just whatever property you can.
Okay. Halo. I want to see them do it right, and I want to see it actually succeed with this. This is going to be a true test. With as much money as they have, and as much lore as they have, they should easily be able to pull something off.
What if they go left?
Instead of right.
It's going to be the end.
I personally want a Last of Us television show similar to Walking Dead,
Wow.
in which it has nothing to do with Joel and Ellie. I don't want to see Joel's brother. I don't want them going to Tennessee where the dam is, where they all live. I don't want any cross-pollination, with one exception. Is in The Last of Us, there's a sequence where you're moving through the sewers, and there's these notes left by a character named Ishmael about a colony down there and how he helped these kids, and then eventually you find out that they all got taken over. If they made that into one season of television, I'm down.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Okay. I'm gonna jump on the Halo hype train. There's so much to work with there. I think it would be entirely too easy. And after Forward Unto Dawn came out or whatever, honestly, I thought it was all right. It was very well done. There was a lot of money thrown into it. Was it the only warthog in existence was actually part of the movie, which I thought was great. Or I guess it's a mini series, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Yeah. But I definitely think there's a lot to work with there, and also I still cannot get this idea of Master Chief being an Easter egg in the background, where some scene's going on and like you see an explosion from a spaceship, and you just see this little speck of a guy that's just that's just flying across space.
He's Halo jumping.
No, he's not.
It would be really cool if they show his origin, like where the kids came from and
I
how
really
they
thought
that would be really
like
cool.
as like a past thing.
I thought that was
No,
about to be the
another
worst
miniseries,
transition
but-
into the name ever, Halo Origins. I was like, just please God.
Dylan, hit us up. What do you got?
I mean, there's so much that I would want to see, but I think that in the end, I would want to see. I think Blizzard does a phenomenal job, so I definitely want it to be those guys cross-pollinating with the actual writing team.
Mhm.
I would probably be really cool with like a WoW-esque, because you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be tied to a story. You can go fight dragons, you can go through raiding, whatever. And I think a WoW anything would be cool. I think the Warcraft movie, while it was cool, it still had like a story level direction of like they kind of wanted to follow. Like you got to see stuff like my roommate who plays WoW was like, oh, it's this and that. And I'm like, I don't care. That's whatever.
Not to go too deep into it, but Assassin's Creed kind of went in their own direction, and they changed a couple of things with the Animus, but past that, it was pretty much its own storyline, and people still hated it.
I heard that movie was not a.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun.
I enjoyed it too. I thought it was
I
fun.
never got
There was
From what I
nothing
saw
wrong
of
with
it was alright. So.
Can you jump off the top of a building and land an ASAP?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
As a bonus one, I'm going to throw out there Overwatch, because they have all this background story and biographies for these characters, and just picking up something to go with the story.
As like a kids
No.
cartoon show, or
Well, I mean, it could be animated if you want to do it in that direction. I assume you'd probably want to, but
Well, they kind of did though with the I guess the backstory videos that they had on them.
yeah. And so they do these every now and then, but having a full-fledged like series, because there's a whole thing about like the Overwatch organization and.
you alright over there?
I just had the fucking respawn on one.
Okay, you get one more bonus.
Anime, Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
Don't follow Kirito-san. Kiko-san. What his name is? Kirito. Don't follow him.
Yeah.
Follow the fisherman on level 6. Show about fishing. That's it.
There you go.
Marky Mark, I believe you said this week you don't have a topic.
No.
No? Okay, that's fine.
Actually, here's my topic. How were your days?
It's fantastic.
I'm very tired.
It's 4th of July in America. If you're not in
America.
Fuck
America.
yeah.
If you're not in America, do something free today.
There you go.
Actually, what are you guys doing for the 4th?
Unless it's illegal, then good luck.
What are you guys doing for the 4th?
I have no plans.
No plans? I know we don't have any plans.
Breathing in freedom. Letting
Sulfur.
it rain.
If
Waking
I don't,
up to the Star Spangled Banner.
if I don't see you out front in the middle of the street with a giant American flag, your full red, white, and blue suit for the dirt fight going on, and just pinning it with a like a burnout going on in the background.
You also have to have
Something's
like the
wrong.
beer hat and the PBR.
With Jimi Hendrix's Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, there you go.
Just to let y'all know, that is on my Spotify playlist, and I do listen to the Star Spangled Banner more often than any American should.
No. Not should. Does. Just should. No, everybody should listen
Yes.
to it all.
America.
On the theme of 4th of July and summer, I was reminiscing earlier today about some of my favorite gaming memories with summer, involving summer, because that's where I got to play the most video games during the summer. So I was going to ask everyone what their just, you don't have to pick a favorite, but just a solid gaming memory.
Oh, dude, it's definitely Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah? Tell us.
When I would say I was in middle school because I had just gotten Pokemon that same year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was in February is when I got it, though. I can't remember when it was released. But I got it for my birthday in that same year. And I had a babysitter come over who had an N64 because I didn't at the time. Brought over Zelda Ocarina of Time. I killed that during the entire summer.
Wow.
I freaking killed. Well, I was a pretty active kid. I mean, I was playing sports. I was on the tennis team. I did swimming. I was always playing with my friends, doing something.
Yourself?
At that time, yes. That's why that particular game is so hard to me. So every time you talk about Majora's Mask, it makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, well, I could talk about the Superior game. It's fine.
That transition's so hard.
Dylan, what you got for
Happy
us?
thought. I mean, I really didn't play games in the summer that much as a kid. I pretty much lived and breathed baseball. That was my life. But the summer of 2011, I built a PC, and it was college, and this is when I started hanging out with this doofus. Him and his posse all had PCs, and Travis had an Xbox, and my roommate Kevin had a PlayStation, and I just got into Call of Duty and was doing that whole, it just ended traveling and whatnot with that. And we got into this stupid game called League of Legends, and we pretty much would go to summer class. I had summer school at the time. I was in college, so I'd go from 8 a.m. to 11, come back, go eat, and then during the day we would play video games until probably 10 or 11 at night. We'd go skate until 3 or 4. We'd come back, we'd play till 7 or 8, and then I'd go to class and he'd go to sleep.
Best summer ever. I actually, because transition, that was my summer too.
Yeah.
That was also the summer I built my desktop. The first half of the summer, I took classes all the way through the summer. The second half, I decided to take an 8 a.m. class. Bad idea.
One of us went
Calculus.
Now, actually, mine was, I don't know, some mobile development course or something like that anyway. But, honestly, it was a great summer. I built a desktop. We all, took all of our desktops and our laptops once we got into League of Legends and all that stuff and put everything, in the center room at the dining room table. And,
there you go.
Sorry, Dad. Yeah, I didn't end up going to my 8 a.m. classes, but I remember specifically we would go to Little Caesars. Mm-hmm. I would get the buttery garlic sauce, and my buddy Kelly and I would buy a giant loaf of bread to put in the middle of the two of us, and we would just pick pieces off, dip it in the butter, and eat it straight up.
Yeah.
But then we'd have an entire pizza per person.
And the even better part was Mark and I, because we were the economically friendly people. We went to there's right beside of our place. There was the QT right at our place where we get hot dogs and crap at night.
Yes.
But we went to the 7-Eleven right down the road.
Yeah.
And they had this diabetes truck.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. It was this big around and this
canister.
tall.
It was $10, and once you got it, you got one free slushie. But then the whole summer was 49-cent refills on slushies. So you go, and it's basically half the size of a Gatorade cooler for a kid's baseball game. And it was 49 cents. Yep. And so that was right beside Little Caesars. We'd go to Little Caesars, get slushies, come back, play all night, and it was a good time.
Yep.
There's going to be a photo here because I have a photo of him and Kelly setting up the tables. It's a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Mine has a little bit of a backstory, and John's heard the story 1,000 times, so I'm just going to roll through it. They haven't. When I was in middle school, I had a very good friend of mine. This was 6th grade. His name was Chris Fergens, and he lived outside of my neighborhood. He lived with his mother, his younger sister, and his stepfather, who was an elementary school gym teacher. And so this is all very important because I would spend my entire weekends over at his house. Friday night, I'd go over there. They made dinner for me. They would buy groceries for me. They had my favorite chocolate ice cream in the fridge, root beer in the fridge, everything ready for me when I got over there so I could spend all weekend, and then I would go back. And traditionally, I would bike there from my neighborhood, it was in Mount Pleasant. So I passed over the IOP connector, which is a very busy road, down Rifle Range Road, which is also a very busy road, and we would go and play. He spent the weekdays recording Toonami at night, so I could come over and watch the newest episode of Dragon Ball Z and then we would play video games and hang out. And so one game we played together was Pokemon, and we played the original yellow, red, and blue. And that fall, Gold and Silver came out. And my mom refused to drive me to Walmart to go get it. His parents were out of town, so we both got on our bikes in the middle of the day on our weekend and snuck to Walmart, which is about a 35-minute bike ride down some very treacherous terrain and roads at the age of 11 or 12. We should not have been doing what we did, but we had our pocket money. We went and bought the games, came back and traded all day long. And so for the following 6 months we played up until that coming summer where Chris was leaving. His family was going back to Wisconsin where he was from. Mom got another job, stepdad did. And so it was one of the last weekends I came over. We were sharing the last bit of time together. He had just gotten his PlayStation for Christmas and was playing Final Fantasy IX, which is how I got into Final Fantasy. And for that last weekend, we were trading back and forth, and finally I was getting ready to leave. And he stops me and hands me his gold cartridge because he bought gold and I bought silver. He's like, well, I'm not going to play with anybody else, so you can take it. So to this day, I still have those cartridges with our saved game files on them.
Wow. That's awesome.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good place to wrap up for today. It should be a shorter episode than normal.
Uncharacteristic.
Thank you all for coming and viewing us. Please make sure you leave a comment with your favorite summer gaming memory, or it doesn't have to be gaming, just a good summer memory you have. Now that we're in the midst of it, 4th of July is again this week. Feel free to subscribe. Mark, where's the bell? Thank you very much. And until next time, aim for the bushes.